should put the coffee up.
We should be live. Oh, yeah. I forgot the coffee. Let me get that. Here,
gotta
hang
put
on.
the coffee up.
Oh, the pot's hot. Here we go.
Whew. Hello, everyone out there. Yeah, Randy, before we went on.
Coffee's on.
Before we went on there, we always joke, in the green room, sometimes before and after the show. And someone had brought up, they said, what you need to do? Record the behind the scenes after show stuff. It's great. Release that to your patrons. Like, that's the shit that'll get us in trouble.
Yeah, amen. That's Roku possibilities, though, with names bleeped out. I think that would be hilarious.
Yeah.
Hey, do you know beep? Well, they turned around and found beep. And somebody at the convention caught him in one of the rooms doing beep. It'd be great.
That would be great. That'd be great. Yeah. We'll do a whole show based on it.
Names and situations have been changed or protected in order to protect the innocent. Yeah.
We'll do a whole show on what we'll call the speculator market. So you have to speculate what's going on. It'll be great. So terrific.
Do what what's his face? Johnson would do blind items.
Yeah.
Blind items. That's bleeding cool. Yeah. Blind items. Ding ding. There we go. Could always replace it with a bell.
Yeah.
The other day I was talking to him. He was telling me all about and all of the different things he likes to.
Really? You mean?
Hell yeah. You know what his specialty is? His specialty is.
Oh, man.
But he's never done anything illegal.
Nothing illegal. Comic book black buck built in the chat says, coffee. For me, it's Rockstar. But,
yeah. Coffee.
Yeah.
He's over in Great Britain and he's still into coffee.
Mm-hmm. It's like 7 o'clock in the afternoon there.
Breakfast of champions there. Yeah. Lunchtime, wake 'em up.
Got a couple things to talk about, Randy.
Do we?
A couple very interesting things that have happened.
I wrote in the description, probably no Zoop-de-poop. Or no, Zoop-de-doop. Excuse me. Zoop-de-doop. Empyrean Vol.
Oh, Empyrean Vol, $5. Finding out, yes, we
Thank
did.
You, Empyrean. Yes, we got those 1,000 subscribers and super chat ability. Thank you, Empyrean, very much.
I feel like we leveled up. Yeah, it took a while for them to approve us, but once I did the second step, it went right through really quick. Like the last couple of steps was
must have hit the right algorithm on the right day.
Yeah.
Instead of that, these guys are. We can't monetize them.
But Jesus got it.
They're major. Well, okay, maybe. You think they'll make us money? That's the thing.
Yeah, so thank you, Preamble. We appreciate it. Yeah,
we
got those 1,000 subs, and it was that was a battle getting here to 1,000 subs. Now we gotta keep them.
Now, yeah. This is awesome. Good morning, Indievolters. Good morning. Good morning, Empyrean. We do appreciate you.
Randy got a bunch of books yesterday from the Wizard Vault. Get them while
cool.
you can.
Yeah. A bunch of books from the Wizard Vault?
Yeah, Wizard World, yeah.
Ah.
That's not what they call their store. They call their store the Vault. And they had a sale because, fire sale. And,
back issues of Wizard?
Back issues, not of Wizard, of specialty comics they've done. They did a run on Walking Dead books, number ones. A bunch of different cities got different covers, but I had to have the Rob Liefeld Walking Dead number 1 cover. I had to have it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Zombies with large shoulders and small ankles.
Pretty much, yeah. It's a pretty fun cover.
Large circle template curves. Yeah. That's all cool though. We pick on Rob, but we love him.
Yeah.
Rob, anytime you want, and he's a regular listener too. We know he is.
Mm-hmm.
So, Rob, anytime you want to come on, you just let us know. Love to have you on.
Pop on in and we can talk junk about Todd together. Let's get.
There you go. We'll talk about whatever Rob wants. He can just sit in the chat and laugh, or not. We can just sit there in the room and laugh while we talk about everything else.
And also,
morning, William Pace. William Pace says, "Good morning, Indievolt."
Since conventions are coming back, Randy, I got to tell you, our email, we're getting complaints from people who've been at shows, and they said that shit's not right, yo. We get to talk about that this morning and get our audience all riled up.
The Ninja says, "Coffee up." Good morning. Morning, the Ninja. Empyrean says, "Yesterday I was delving. Delving? That looks like delving. Yeah. I was delving at local comic shops. 2 issues of Bronze Age Khazar, 1 issue of Commandy, and the Aquaman issue with the Starro from Adventure Comics. Total price $20.
Wow. Hey.
There you go.
Yeah, that's how you win. That's
Must have been a later run Commandy.
Well, it depends on if the comic shop knew what they had.
Oh, that's true too.
Some of these comic shops, they don't care. Take it. Get rid of these books.
Russ says, "Oh man."
Ready to intro?
That was OMAC. I picked up an OMAC #1 at the last show too. So. OMAC.
I'll hit the intro and
I can do it. You want me to do it?
Yeah,
here we go. Hang on, folks. Here we go. There we are.
Hello, everyone. How's everyone out there? Happy Thursday morning.
It's Commandy, issue 9.
Yeah.
Right in the middle of the Kirby run. Kirby ran the first 50 issues, I believe, of Commandy. If I remember right. Maybe a little less than that.
Happy Thursday morning. I'm your host, Varian Grant, founder of Indievolt Media, LLC. Started making comics way back in 2008. I am a father, geek, husband, comic book artist, comic book publisher, distributor, everythinger. Yeah, reluctant taxpayer, all those good things. And this is the Breakfast Buzz. I'm joined by Randy Zimmerman. Hello, Randy.
Hey, everybody. Yes, good morning. Good morning. My name's Randy Zimmerman. I'm a even longer time Indian alternative comics creator and everything. Done just about everything in this industry that you can imagine. Retailed for over a decade. Have coordinated conventions for over a decade. Done a lot of things and done a lot of freelance work for everybody. Printed under the Arrow Comics, the Massive Comics, and the Weeby Comics banners. Now I'm bringing Arrow Comics back out, Arrow Comics 4.0, doing products for the direct market, available exclusively through Liberty Distribution, Liberty Entertainment Distributors, ledg.us. For more information on the stuff that we're doing, you can go over to Facebook and look us up, Arrow Comics 4.0, or Friends of Arrow Comics 4.0. We also have a Linktree, a Twitter, and an Instagram page as well.
So much new tech, so much new stuff.
So much. A lot of great stuff we're doing, though. It's going to be fun. It's just getting started.
Now I wonder. Someone message.
Something was loud. He says, "Wow, that was loud." Russ said, "I'm not sure what was loud. Maybe the explosion.
Yeah.
The wake up call."
Yeah.
Got to see Rival Turtle yesterday.
Did you?
Face to face. Yep. He's going to be working on some more stuff for me.
That's cool.
Yeah. He's awesome. He was awesome. Gave him a stack of books, and we stopped and talked for a little bit.
Is out now. Has everyone received their copies of our Revolt? I know they're completely shipped.
Say what?
All the copies of Revolt are completely shipped out, right?
No. There's one, and I'm sorry, Trish, I haven't shipped yours out yet. There's one I haven't shipped out yet because I have to do a picture of Mischievous.
Okay.
and I haven't taken the time to do that yet. I was starting to draw it at the convention, didn't like it, so I want it to be really special because we promised it to Trish, and it's actually lagging her package behind, but she'll get it here really quick. Plus I have to throw the PDF file together yet, and we transfer it to all of those people that requested one. I'm still debating about the little extras to throw in on that PDF file. It's going to be huge. It's going to be big.
Huge.
It'll be worth the wait.
Huge.
Huge. It'll be huge.
Let's see who else we got. As well as Niobe Comics, as I said, hell, Niobe Comics. We have super sup ass boys. That's us. We should have been listed as that.
Sup ass boys
program. We should have been listed as the sup ass boys in the program.
That's not nice though. Be like, I ain't gonna list you in the program as that. Holy crap.
William Pace says, I received mine and give them an extra copy to a friend. Awesome.
Morning, Paul. Hope you're doing well.
And that's cool that people are gifting copies too.
Huge. Yeah.
Gifting your copy of extra copies, which is hopefully who you give it to, they like it and they find a whole new world to explore. Randy from Indievolt Radio, and this one is something you might be able to
answer.
You might have a personal
Pop's asking, are we going to do the GRCC recap show? I thought we already did that on Tuesday. We talked about that.
Yeah, we could talk about stuff that happened at the show too. But from this one question here, I want to get to it. This one is from Eck, EACK. Eck says, with Comic-Con's back, I'm wondering, does anyone else notice prices for commissions have almost doubled since this time in 2020? Well, I don't think we had this time in 2020, but okay. What used to be a $50 sketch at a show is now anywhere from $90 to $150. I understand everyone is having financial issues, but this expanded price could hurt your sales and customers. From EACK.
Well, everything's a little out of wonk right now because of the bug. So give it a little time to calm down a little and settle out. Something I noticed, one of my favorite discount people, vendors that set up at shows, that I love going through his stuff because he has a wide variety, a large library of graphic novels. And he had gone through and jacked all of his prices up. A $20 book was now $50. A $100 omnibus that used to be $50 was $80. I'm like, wow, dude, come on. Eventually they'll learn that and either go back down to their original prices or just decide to stay where they're at, and then see how many sketches they actually end up doing at shows. But Paul there says everything goes up, and yes, it does. But a lot of times it's gone up with food and gas and crap. A lot of folks' prices, and I hadn't seen that on the artist tables, but I'm not a big one to go around and price out commissions. Yeah. So obviously, the listener has done that and is freaking about the sticker shock. So that just means you pare down to your favorites and keep track. Every purchase, every commission's an endorsement of that person's work. So if they're overpricing themselves, they'll figure it out here pretty quick.
Mike Jimmy in the house. Hey, Mike.
Hey, Mike.
JT Malloy says, "Sup, kids?" Hey,
JT, how you doing? Hope you're doing well.
Pop says, people went a year without sales. Inflation is high. People are trying to catch up and keep their heads above water at the same time.
Yeah.
But some Paul says everything goes up. Russ says, please find me a show where I can get people to pay me $100 for a convention sketch. You know what? I don't think you have a problem getting that here, Russ. I don't think you have a problem at all. But I understand what you're saying. I don't think you'd have a problem though. I have a problem. I'd
have a problem. Yeah.
I hate doing convention sketches. Oh, I don't hate them. I want to put so much into them, and I don't have that ability. You know.
See, William says each good artist ain't cheap, and a cheap artist ain't good. I don't know.
Yeah.
Paul says Wizard World conventions went up. Actually, Wizard World conventions went out. They sold.
My stock alone, Randy.
Your stock probably bumped.
It did. I sold like the remainder of like
that's short-term profit is tight.
Yeah. I sold like Jermaine of everything that was like, it was.
You sold at a buck 20. You sold at what? $2.
Yeah,
that's great for a 16-cent stock.
Yeah. So
amen.
Good on you.
Yeah, Pop says Russ could get that here. Yeah. And John, quote of the day.
Let's see here.
Asterisk. Thanks for listening, John.
Where is my? Oh, okay. Sorry, my computer again. Because I've been doing horrible things on the back end. It's been experiencing slowdown. So
need to say that like Dr. Evil. Evil, horrible things.
Yes, evil, horrible.
Paul says, so there ain't no more Wizard World conventions. I believe they've sold out to what's that format? Heroes Expo? Something Expo?
Fan Expo.
Fan Expo.
Yeah.
Who I think started out doing a big show in Ontario. Is that the same guys?
Yeah, they're
they used to. I was at that show a long time ago. It's a good show. Haven't been back since, but haven't been invited back since. Well, we haven't been able to cross the border in a year and a half or so, anyway. So.
Yeah. Well, even if I've never done a show in Canada, but I think that would be kind of cool. Especially like in Windsor. It's right across the border.
Yeah,
it's not that long of a drive.
No, not from where you are.
Yeah. But yeah, hopefully Wizard is I don't know if they're gonna keep the Wizard name, but I got so much Wizard stuff that now it feels retro.
Yeah. Paul says they called them Comic Cons a while back. Yeah.
Now they're pop culture festivals.
Well, who is it? San Diego says that they own the word, but everybody should use it anyway because I think it's one of those public use situations already. It's too late for them. But that's my opinion.
Salt Lake.
Apparently not the court's opinion.
Yeah, Salt Lake and San Diego were into it for quite a while over that. It's a weird case. Now I did want to ask you one other thing. Good morning, folks, says Eric Hawkins. Good morning. Randy, I found out something interesting about comic book production as a whole.
Oh, comic book production in a whole?
Yeah.
Okay.
As a whole.
As a whole.
So check this out. This one is from Sophia Dame, and she writes in, "Hi, I was wondering if you guys think that my idea is a good one. I am a local baker from, I guess your location. It's a place in Tennessee. I can't pronounce it. Sorry, but she's the thing is, she is also an artist and wants to make an edible comic using the edible paper they have there. What do you guys think of this idea? Am I crazy for thinking this might just work? And would I have to get FDA approval before taking it to a con to sell? Edible comics.
That's a good question.
Randy, you like crazy formats.
Mm-hmm.
So,
never thought about an edible comic before. I wonder how that would work going through the mail.
Oh.
I could see it doing a. I'm not sure if you could even do a crowdfunding campaign for an edible comic.
I don't think you can. Can you crowdfund edible things? I don't think so.
I don't know. It'd be interesting to see how the conventions would handle somebody producing an edible comic. Would you be a comic vendor or a food vendor?
Yeah, would you have to get FDA approval?
I don't know. Probably maybe on the material, but
yeah, I'm sorry, Sophia Dave. I'm not sure. Won't read.
I used to work at an adult bookstore, and we used to sell all sorts of little edible things, but we didn't have to have approval for that. They just all tasted waxy. That's all.
Mike Jimmy says edible comics. Shoot me up one page at a time.
There you go.
BrEaKfAsT says, do they have an underwear version? It was Marvel and DC do that, cutting out the middleman. They just delivered already. It's crap. Wow. There you go. Pop says, one read. Mike Jimmy says, you wouldn't be allowed to sell it at a convention either since it'd be edibles. Russ says,
I'm not sure about that.
Is that gum with the mini comic often had the print rub right off on the gum? Does that count?
Yeah. There you go.
Edible comics, hell yeah. That way, when I'm telling someone I buy their comic is, I can say I literally shit out of their comics in this.
Oh. Rival says, good morning. Good morning. Randy, good morning, Rival. Hope you're doing well.
That's I mean, if I bought an edible comic, would I eat it? I'd probably buy two.
One you couldn't. You'd have to go get it slabbed right away.
Yeah. Like, does she sign it? I know, like, I've never thought about it. Maybe we'll do one. We'll do edible comics first.
That'd be hermetically sealed, right? edible comics. How do you get that in a collection comic bag and a board? Be that size? That'd be interesting. You raise some very fascinating questions.
Can you?
They're like Trico's jokes. Pop says LMAO. Trico says, "Eat it with con hands." That's a good question.
Yeah, dip it in something. Maybe you have to wash it down. If you can work in having to eat the comics in the story, that'd be kind of cool.
See the different colors having different tastes.
Yeah.
So you'd like go for the Daredevil comic because you know it would taste like cherry or strawberry. Black Widow comic would be licorice. Yeah. Captain America would be blueberry and strawberries.
Well, she works at a bakery, so I'm thinking it's the type of paper they use when you have a custom image printed out. Like, for example, we did the Indievolt cake a couple of weeks back, and it had Vicky on the front. Well, you know, you could just cut into it. So I think it's that type of paper that will be used. I'm just not sure that paper is. Is that paper foldable? Can you, before you put it on the cake, is it actually at least somewhat durable? And then the other problem is this: once you make one comic edible, now all comics become edible. So now you're a little.
No, only if you sell a lot.
Yeah.
Once people smell the money, you'll smell their comics.
Well, no, it's like then you know, there's little Jimmy gets into the gets into the comic book room. The baby starts eating all the comic books, all Dad's vintage books.
Yeah, because
Dad gave him a comic book to eat out there a couple days ago.
Like I said, you'd have to go get them slabbed right away.
Yeah. Would it smell like?
Oh, they'd be hermetically sealed. Would it smell like ink? That's another question.
Please do not scroll through this comic with sweaty hands.
Yeah.
Tastes like bigotry and mustard.
Bigotry and mustard.
You would have to eat it, wouldn't it, mold if it's aged for years? Yeah, I'd imagine it would. Smellable comics. That's
you must have sent Mr. Leach a link. There he is.
Yeah.
Good day.
Good day.
Good day. How is everybody?
Pretty good.
Good.
Are you not liking edible comics?
Edible comics?
Yeah.
Yeah, as long as they taste of mustard, they're fine.
Smellable comics. There's an untapped market.
All my comics smell.
Only the scent of quality.
Oh yeah.
Fine scent of quality.
Yeah, edible comics. You know what?
Oh.
Sophia, if you try it and it works, let us know.
Oh, is that the floppy version? Does that smell as well?
It does.
Nice.
But again, it's the scent. It's not quite as pungent as your campaign book, but it's still got a great smell.
I'm looking forward to
most good comics do.
Yeah. Looking forward to the time when I can have a whole bundle of them.
Yeah, so are we.
Yeah.
Glenn says, what next? I go into a pub for a pint of beer and buy the latest cat book instead. Yeah, you can eat it while you're, I think, page by page. Page swap.
Did he meant to spell that cap, or was that a different?
Correct.
Anyway. Eric Hawkins, depends on how it's made. It's just pure sugar without any humidity. It should be okay. Yeah. Again, another reason to get it slabbed immediately.
Scratches might be an untapped.
By the time the guys get around to actually grading it, though, it'll probably be a mess.
It would just be a big sort of cartoon bite out of the corner. Yeah.
I imagine Russ's comments
knock it from a 9.9 down to a 6.4 because somebody decided to take a lick.
Imperial Vote says, I imagine Russ's comics would have that Coleman's mustard scent.
Oh yeah.
Or
maybe some horseradish.
Grey Poupon. Yeah.
It says weed comics would be a lot more popular. They probably would.
Have a little bit of bite to them at least. Yeah.
Oh, it's horrible. That's horrible. We can take any idea here and pervert it. Yeah. So we do.
That's our job.
Mm-hmm. So, Randy, this time, the next letter we got from Indievolt Radio here. This one, last time it was about someone doing pretending to be a deceased artist.
Yeah. Pop says those weed comics would be a lot more popular.
Yeah, I read that one. Yeah.
I'd lick them.
That would be the special Toad version. Toad comics. Lick the Toad.
Paul says, well, everyone, you have a good day, guys. Thank you, Paul. Appreciate it. You have a good day as well.
You too. Thanks for listening. We are archived over at the YouTube channel. The majority of our broadcasts are over there. And again, we are officially monetized now, so we can take super chats. Imperial Vol started our day off amazingly with a super chat. We deeply appreciate it.
We do.
So if you haven't gone over to YouTube yet and subscribed, please do so and hit that bell for notifications because you never know where or when we will be broadcasting. So
yeah, this next one comes to us from this is from Helly.
We may have to make a road tour, the Indievolt tour, sometime soon. And travel around, do an Indievolt tour. I mean, we broadcast from Grand Rapids Con.
Yeah.
Like a circus.
Exactly. The Indievolt traveling circus. Ladies and gentlemen, here's the man with the coonskin cap.
Yeah. Helly here is upset that she's returned to local conventions. By her, anyway. I don't know where she's from, but she's returned to local conventions. There was one last week. No more than 200 guests. A very small show at a local rec center. However, the promoter is using tactics I've never heard of before. Besides doubling the price of the table, he's charging per badge another $50 per badge, and parking was $20 no matter who you were.
Holy crap for a 200 attended show.
Yeah.
Right. Don't bother.
Wow. Let me find the proper banner here for that. Give me just a moment here. That'd be more like this.
What?
Probably. And maybe a lot of this. $20 to park? Crap, I only paid 10 for Grand Rapids Con.
I don't think I'll be going to shows anymore, to be honest. I mean, in the UK, the shows are much smaller. There's a couple of big ones. But if you turn up in Artist Alley at those ones, then like you're sitting next to people who are hugely famous. So, nobody knows who I am. So I don't get anything if I go to the big ones.
Hugely famous, like whom?
Who
have you sat next to at a show? Brian Bowen?
No, Bowen doesn't do shows.
Yeah, Howard Chaykin.
Yeah, he was there.
Cool.
Also, I had a couple of like really big UK artists like Mike Collins and what have you, and like people know them, but they don't know me. So I just don't get much in the way of traffic. And then if I go to the small ones, $100 for a convention sketch, you're having a laugh. You'd be lucky if you get 30 quid out of people. Very lucky. So it's absolutely not worth my while going to these things. I'm better off being online, having a YouTube channel, have it being very accessible to anybody who wants to talk to me.
Sure.
And effectively, that's a 24/7 convention. I'm not adverse to going. I mean, I'm quite happy to go to conventions, and it's nice to see people. Obviously, that's the nice thing. But financially, they're not particularly rewarding at all.
And you'll have to come over in a couple of years when we have our LibertyCon.
Yes, I'm sure I will. Yeah. If the American state lets me in,
or if the British state lets you out.
Yeah, I may be on a watch list. I don't know.
That kind of works. Oh, you think you're on a watch list?
He hangs around with us. He's got to be on a watch list.
Yeah, unfortunately, not on a YouTube watch list because my subscriptions aren't as much as yours.
Yeah, it comes from
that sounds really high. Holly, right? Holly, yeah. I would, Haley. Yes. I'd be freaking, yes. And there would be a time I'd probably get up there and to that parking lot and somebody hold their hand out for a 20. I'd say, "See ya," turn around, go back home. Like crap, that. No. I was stunned at Grand Rapids, but usually it's $6, maybe $8.
See,
and I'm sorry, Mark. I don't mean that disparagingly, and I realize all that money goes to the hall. So
I remember going to New York, and Brandon had not paid attention to where he was parking, and he pulled into this. Here's a parking structure, and he pulls into this garage, and we go into the con. I'm thinking to myself, he's got a couple extra dollars, or he didn't read that sign. But I've got to meet up. I got to meet up with Mike Turner playing. See ya. So, I'm over, at the Aspen booth. I'm not behind it, but I'm a fanboy, so I'm lording around. Oh, it's great! Look, there's this guy and this guy. When we leave the show, we go back to the car, and I said, I'm gonna wait right here till you pull out. I don't want to take those steps back up. Brandon pulls out. He is seeing. He's seeing like red. He's pissed. Oh, he's pissed. The park there for 2 hours was $110.
Whoa! Whoa! That's a definite ouch.
Yeah, there was cursing and gnashing of teeth.
Yes, to say the least.
I believe it was bad. It was funny.
Funny
Jimmy
for you.
Says, yeah, funny for you. Mike Jimmy says I'm going to have a free show in 2 weeks. Do I pay entry once I'm there or something?
Free show.
With these new rules, yeah.
What's a free show?
Trico says I'm with Russ.
I was doing freelance comic writing work. I didn't like setting up at cons anymore. It was stay home and get guaranteed money for a script, or go to a con and beg people to buy a $5 comic.
Yeah.
Please buy my book.
Buy my book. Yeah.
I mean, it is slightly different now that you've got those terminals you can buy for a one-off fee, and get people to buy stuff via a credit card or whatever digitally. It has made a difference, I believe. And if I was to go back, I'd get one of those. But I can't see myself going back. I can't see conventions coming back in the way they were. I think there were too many conventions in the UK anyway, and they were starting to become very. I mean, everybody knows that conventions aren't comic book conventions anymore. They're entertainment conventions, but they were becoming so entertainment and so little comic that it was getting difficult to sustain, to be honest. From my point of view, I mean, other people may have a different opinion, but it certainly wasn't something that I was looking for. I know in America, I speak to a lot of people say, "Oh yeah, the convention circuit. We're out every month. We're doing a certain number of conventions." I think something like that only has a certain life to it.
Yeah,
it's got to sell by date.
And everything's been shaken up over the last year anyway.
Because while being a nerd and everything was sort of very popular because of certain television programs, it's a fad. And eventually it will come back down to people that, like comics or like sci-fi or whatever, and all the normies will leave. And then there just won't be the same kind of market opportunities to have conventions on, every month.
Yeah.
Indievolt Radio. Corn. Qorn. I guess it's corn. Yeah, we'll go with it. Corn says, I was at MegaCon this weekend. Sorry.
Yeah.
And I'm joking. And I didn't see a whole lot from indie creators that was interesting to me. Sorry, it's weirdly spaced. It was interesting to me. I'm finding better comics that are indie on. Okay, I gotta buy a new format for this or something. I'm finding better indie comics on Indiegogo and Kickstarter, and not at conventions. Okay, well, for one, there's a couple reasons, and just you two. One, sometimes people, they're happy with their Kickstarter Indiegogo results, so they don't bother doing conventions. The other thing is that you might not find that because you might start finding that because some of these artists are saying that now. I've heard some creators say that.
Yeah,
I made $8,000 on my campaign. That's more than I would have made at a con.
Exactly.
Yeah, I've heard that a lot.
Yeah, I mean, why have all the aggro of a con? Just to come away with maybe $100 for the weekend. After you've paid for your travel and you put everything together, especially if you're not a guest and you have to pay for your table and pay for you to be there for your pitch. It starts getting expensive, and then you think, well, how many books am I going to sell? And if you've already, like you say, turned over sort of $9,000 or $10,000 on an Indiegogo, and you're able to keep half of that because half of it would be printing and fulfillment. There's just no there's no competition, is there? I think there may be in some cases a little bit of gatekeeping as well. But also adversely, to be fair, what is this individual looking for? They might be looking for something that just isn't turning up. It's not the kind of thing that people are making who are going to conventions. So there's so many different variables involved in that statement. Really,
it could be the more quality people are also just staying home and working.
There is that. I find it very difficult right at the moment. I would have no time for conventions. I haven't even got time for my own YouTube channel.
Well,
I haven't got time for anything. I'm just at the board constantly.
Your workload is huge right now.
Yeah. So why go to a convention? And like I say, I'm completely anonymous. So nobody's got a clue who I am. I'm pumping out work. I'm getting paid for work. I'm producing my own book and getting paid for the book. But very few people know who I am. So if I turn up a convention, where's the benefit?
24 Eyes says, I would say it is important to use the cons while they last. Yeah. Build your audience and retain with a mailing list and fan clubs. It's a great way to get a local audience, but there is larger potential and a wider reach online. So,
mailing lists are hugely important.
So I wish I had the time to draw, Mike Jimmy says. Yeah. The thing with doing podcasts like this is that they're archived forever. So somebody 5 years from now, 10 years from now can pop up on YouTube and point and laugh at us. Where at a convention, it's just a quick,
Yeah. They only get 2 days to point and laugh.
Yeah, they only get 2 days to point and laugh. Yeah.
I wanted to say this, so also you got to keep this in mind, Corn. When you don't see those books, some of those books you're looking at, they might not be printed yet. Sometimes, like if you go to a con looking for books you've seen on Kickstarter or Indievolt, you're probably gonna be disappointed anyway. Because hopefully those books have been fulfilled. Because like me and Randy right now, we have a situation where people are buying a book we both back, and they're picking them up at conventions. Like, thanks, while we're waiting for our copies in the mail still. So it might not be those creators' fault. I would tell any creator though, again, like 24 Eyes said, use the conventions while they still are useful. Anybody?
Oh, definitely. Good morning.
I understand why you might not want to spend that much money to go to like a C2E2 or a San Diego. I understand why that might not be in the cards anymore. But your local show, someplace like some small indie show that you want to go out there and get your Space, for example. I can see people going to those shows still.
Oh yeah, but there's so many books out there crowdfunded right now. You're not going to see them all.
Yeah.
And you do have to wonder if crowdfunding hasn't raised the bar a bit as far as quality goes, because the local shows are exactly that. That's the local talent. That's the people that want to drive even maybe a day or so away in order to show you their stuff. But crowdfunding, their products are from all over.
Yeah.
And that might have raised that quality bar, especially in the writer's mind, as far as what a proper indie comic looks like.
Yeah, that's the other thing. I mean, I've been, after being to shows over the last 5 or 6 years, I suppose, I started going to shows, actually sort of as a creator. It's been noticeable, like the kind of quality of product I would see from indies 5 years ago. Okay, I have to say, obviously I haven't been to a show in 2 or 3 years now. Compared to some of the books that I've had through the post from crowdfunded books, there's a big difference, a very big difference in the quality of the product.
Yeah.
So I think what crowdfunding has given people the opportunity to do, in some ways, is a bit like Image, because it is a little bit more focused on the artist than the writer. So you've heard of a lot of people like running off to Substack, and that's definitely a writer focused environment. And when Image went, it was all about the artist. And I think crowdfunding helps the artist because you have more time as a creator to show people what you've got. You give people that time to muse over what you have. Thank you. When you're showing your stuff via the crowdfunding mechanism, and then of course, inevitably you should make yourself available online for people as well. So you give people more of a chance to see your work, and then on top of that, I think there's an expectation for it to be of a certain quality and a certain standard. I don't know why, but I just think there is. It's almost like it's the difference between a fanzine and an indie book. So kind of you can go to a convention and kind of pick up some photocopied or self-printed stuff and go, oh yeah, that's great, that's fun. But you would not accept that from an indie book that's been crowdfunded.
Yeah.
So I think it's just a small example, I don't think it's tangible, really. I can't give you definitives, but it's just the way I feel about it. I think that's what's going on. Well,
here at Grand Rapids Con, I walked through the artist alley, and right. I know what the person who posted is talking about. There was one product I found and got to talk to the creator there for a little bit about the quality of her work, which is top notch. But
Yeah.
I really, my major purchases at the show were older books.
Yeah.
From vendors that were set up. In fact, they had one guy up there who was cleaning out, looked like he was cleaning out an attic of some estate sale, and had long boxes of dusty, musty books set up at $4 a hit. And I was really happy to go through there and pay for the most obscure books that you could possibly imagine. You know, found an old Magnus, a Robot Fighter by Russ Manning I hadn't read, and that kind of material. That $4 for that. Oh yeah, I'll buy that. You know,
Definitely.
A lot of great reading copies. I picked up a couple of the most obscure Harvey superhero characters ever. Spy-Man, Jigsaw, and another army guy who likes wrapping his arrows in dynamite and shooting them at the enemy.
Nice.
This is the war ain't over until I'm out of dynamite. That's classic stuff.
This one is from Daryl Boach. Daryl Boach says, okay, my wife's profitable family business, comics, has been established since 1955. But now all of the it's a comic book shop. But now all of the directors,
they've had a comic shop since 1955.
Yep.
That's what it says.
Yeah.
Okay.
But now all of the directors, her siblings, directors, are old and the kids are not interested in running it. What should we do next?
Sell it.
Anymore, a retailer has to be in love with comics in order to put up with the product that they've got there to sell, especially in what would be called a mainstream book. You really have to love that product in order to be able to sell it and turn it around, because that's some of that stuff is a very hard sell.
1955.
In my mind.
It's going time to have business in the family.
I would love to know what business that is, and if that's really the startup date, because that's way before the direct market. That's right after the Comic Code Authority kicked in. So were they a soda shop, where they were selling drinks and like a greasy spoon that had comics in them, and then decided to specialize in comics? Because like I said, that's long before the direct market was founded. Unless he hit the wrong key. If it was 1985, I would understand.
Yeah, but you could even if it was 85, could you
75?
Could you sell it? Would you feel bad about selling it?
Well, yeah, because it's been in the family forever.
Yeah,
absolutely, you'd feel bad about selling it. But if the siblings aren't interested in continuing the business, it's time to find somebody else who wants to do it.
I'd rather sell it than see it sort of go out of business on its own.
It's not like, or to have the siblings drive it into the ground because they don't care about what they're doing. That would be a special tragedy. But you really, like I said, you really have to love this art form in order to be able to be out there on the grind day to day selling those books. You really do. So I would hand it over to somebody who actually wants to sell comics.
And let me go back here. Give me 1 second. Okay, so my wife's profitable family business, comics, has been established since 1955. But now all the directors, her siblings, are old, and the kids are not interested in running it. What do we do next? It never said shop. Critical Blast pointed that out. He never didn't hear me read shop. He never said shop. I'm just assuming it was a shop. Huh.
Well, then it could be a publishing company or something.
Yeah.
It's 1955.
But
never know.
Still, it sucks again letting something go away. I mean, but like Russ said, you give it to someone, you set it to someone with the same love and the same passion, they might keep it going for you.
Yeah.
At least you get to see it, and it doesn't fail on your watch. That was asthma. Find someone who will love to have it. Shops don't usually have directors either. Yeah. Directors. Although, well, Never mind. I'll keep my mouth shut. I'm pretty sure some people can figure out a way to structure a business so that it fails.
Where there's a will, there's a way. Yeah. And it's especially now when you're literally walking a tightrope as a retailer, and any retailer will tell you that no matter how big the business is. Look at how perilous Diamond has been, for example, the last 10, 20 years, and now especially the last 2 years with their individual problems. Russ, take a look at that. Dynamite Joe, the blast crazy Marine.
Jesus, that's great.
Just amazing.
Look at that cover. Everything you need to know about the book is on the front of that cover.
Right there, yeah.
Right there in front of you.
It says, "We're still in this war, you jokers."
I'll have that one. I'll have the next 6 issues as well.
As long as old Joe has a stick of dynamite left. It just
kaboom.
Yeah.
Brilliant stuff.
Minute I saw it, you're gonna, even if you're practicality out the window, no arrow strapped with dynamite like that's going to go very far.
It's a comic.
I know. It's a comic.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. It's a people. There is this. There is this streak of realism in comics, and it's been there for a little while now.
Too long. Yeah.
And it's like, no, stop it. No, I mean, if you want to make a realistic comic, great. But I keep saying this, I keep banging on the same thing. All the mainstream are trying to pile too many genres into the superhero genre.
Yeah,
they're trying to make a superhero genre for everything. It's like, no, the people in tights. Make it fun.
He's being shot at, and there's people being
blown up in the background and everything.
People being blown up in the background. Whip.
But that's Rambo, isn't it?
Pretty much, yeah. Only long before Rambo, though.
Just funny.
Oh, and that Empyrean, that's a Harvey comic, by the way. Empyrean, one of the most unique comic companies ever, and the most non-PC. So great company.
Sorry, somebody's coming down my street with very loud music right now.
Ah,
sorry, that's why I muted it. Yeah.
Yeah, Empyrean says it's a Charlton comic. This is where there's a will, there's a relative. Yeah. So I wonder how Dynamite Joe could assist Dynamite Thor. Or even Dino Mutt. Who knows?
I got one more question here, and I promised that I would put this one up because this one came in. This one came in over 2 weeks ago.
Ooh.
Yeah, and I was supposed to read it. It's from Stupid, ST00PID. And so here it is.
Stupid.
Yeah.
Stupid.
I want to break into mainstream from indie. But now I'm told by some but I'm told by some it's about talent. Others say it's about the amount of verified credits. And now I'm hearing it's easy to get blacklisted just because of who I work with or I've done work with.
Yep.
Who I work with or I've done work with. What's the way, guys? I need to get into the mainstream. Marvel,
you do not
DC
need
now
to get into the mainstream.
Yeah.
Because the page rates aren't that great.
No.
Okay. And then even if the page rates were that great, there would be no guarantee that you'd be given run after run after run. Your best mate, your best friend might be suddenly given a job as an editor at Marvel. And they'll take you on because they know you, because that's a lot of the way things work, and always have done, by the way. Mm-hmm. And that's a lot of the way things work. And then you'll get a 6-issue run, maybe even a 12-issue run on a comic. Okay. And then whether it's sales or whether somebody else doesn't like it up top, it'll get cancelled. And then you'll think, that's okay. My mate's an editor there. And then your mate gets a job as an editor somewhere else that isn't a comic book company, maybe. Then what are you going to do? Mm-hmm. Because the editor that's just filled his position or her position have got their own mates who draw, and they're going to give them the job. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I know that's a very harsh way of looking at it, and it's over exaggerating nepotism, but it happens. It does happen,
and so it's been prevalent. it's been prevalent in the market for a long time.
For a long time. This is okay.
Decades.
You can accuse large corporates at the moment of making decisions maybe based on PC culture or whatever you want to call it. But nepotism has been doing the rounds for years. Okay.
Yeah.
Part of that nepotism is geographic. I know that there are UK artists that have managed to make their way over, but I tell you what, back in the day in the 70s, you needed to live in New York and butter up the editors on a regular basis. Okay, that was the way it worked.
The 70s and before.
That was
before there was the internet, before there was FedEx. You had to be in New York.
And I'm afraid that the reality of it is that only a very, very few people, few artists, creators will be able to make the kind of money that will give you a relatively good lifestyle. What you have to do is you have to apply yourself as a creative across a number of mediums and take paid gigs. If you were to get, good on you. If you think you can do it, go for it. But how do you do it? If I don't know. I've worked for Marvel indirectly via other publishers, and I didn't know how to get through the walls. It was difficult. So all you do is you just keep doing those gigs and making your own books. If it's about money, okay, then the quality of your book will eventually shine through if you're committed, and you will end up earning something out of that. Remember, a creative only needs to come up with 1,000 committed fans to earn money for the rest of their lives. Okay, and you don't need to be working for a particular corporate in order to say that you've made it. If you're writing, drawing comic books and people are buying them, that makes you a professional. Simple as that. But what's more important is you act like one, rather than think you are one because you may have been employed by a particular company or not.
And also, it's very important, especially right now at this point in time, as far as the market goes, for you to define to yourself exactly what makes mainstream. Because is it the numbers? Because the numbers are dropping, especially in American comics. You want to be read the most and seen the most. You're going to almost have to do manga as far as mainstream goes. If you're going to do quality work, do it through the independents. Do you absolutely have to work on that icon? Is that the thing that drives you crazy, that you have to do that story about that character that you read when you were a kid? Though then I understand you wanting to go work for a company, but they just recently cut starting rates, from what I understand. It's incredibly difficult to make a living, and always has been in comics. Most of the people that were there, not the people that are there now, most of the people that were there back in the 70s and 80s did it because they loved it. Because that like Jack Kirby, that was the thing that they wanted to do the rest of their lives in order to feed their families and pay their bills. But nowadays, mainstream numbers, hardly anybody gets royalties. The difference now between the mainstream and the independents are getting closer and closer all the time, and that doesn't count the dollar amount, like what Russ was saying. Because when you're crowdfunding, you only need 1,000 regular customers.
Yeah, I mean, look at what is it? Lady Death. Is it Brian
Polito?
Polito. I mean, he doesn't need to work for mainstream companies. He's doing quite well on his own.
He did in the past, but
but what I'm saying is he doesn't need to do that now.
No, he doesn't.
He that's not in his vocabulary professionally.
A lot of people would also say that he, in a way, is mainstream in the independent market.
Well, there you go. What do you call mainstream?
Yeah, exactly. Because he's gone through and redefined how to do crowdfunding, and it was through a lot of hard work and gaining that fan base that Russ was talking about.
Yeah.
You go out and you find it, and then you use it, and you milk it, and you perform for it. It's just like any type of entertainment service. If they're entertained by you, they're going to come back, and if they really are entertained by you, they're going to come back regularly.
Yeah. So as I understand it, but Brian does multiple books, and has people working for him, much like Spawn, Todd McFarlane. He's now creating his own. Do you call Todd and Brian mainstream?
That's a good question.
I don't know, because if you were working, I got my own thing going on. I've got lots of other stuff. I work for other people though. If Todd McFarlane came to me or Brian Pulido came to me and said, "Do you fancy doing something for us?" and I had the space and the time, obviously. But of course I would work. I'd work for them at the drop of a hat because they're incredible creatives. And they know what they're doing, and they produce fantastic quality products, which would mean that would rub off on me. I'd be considered a quality product because I worked with them. Simple as that. Just an association. So where's the requirement to go and work for mainstream?
Right.
All you need to do is all you need to do. What you need to do is you need to make sure that you're associated with quality people, with quality work, and produce quality work yourself, and get out there and get a base of customers, of readers, an audience.
Fan base is everything.
Fan base is everything. And I know that's easier said than done. Of course it is. Of course it's easier said than done. But you go out there and do it. I on my first book, I got 270 backers. Okay. And from what I can tell, pretty much all of them, or a large majority of them, are keen for the second book. Okay. And I'll go out and see if I can get even more people involved in that second book. Okay. You just have to keep throwing yourself at it. Unfortunately, that's just the only way this will work. And as a comic book artist, you need to be able to do other things to fill in between. I'm fortunate at the moment. I'm stacked. I can't move because of work, but it wasn't always like that. One of the main reasons why I decided to go and do my own thing was because I came off a run of books and there was nothing else to do. That was it. I'd been working for a particular publisher, and we got to the end of a run and they had no other books to put me on. And so I had no work.
Also, if you go visit these cons, like we were at the Grand Rapids Con this last weekend, Bob Wyachek was there, Bill Mesner-Loebs was there. These are all people that had big runs in the mainstream that are struggling now to get by because the editors moved on, or they decided that they were the editors decided they were too old, or brought their buddies in, like Russ was saying as an example. The mainstream does not treat you very well at all. And I have to address the latter part of your question about that you're worried about working for companies, or there are companies out there that say if you're associated with other people, you're not going to get work from them. You really have to look. You have to look at those companies, because the companies that are like that, companies that, you don't uphold to our political beliefs, or you're part of this ist or whatever, you're a phobe or who knows what. If they're not out there looking at people's talent, if they're not out there hiring on a meritocracy as far as going out and trying to find the best talent in order to make them money, there's something wrong with that company.
That company will shit on you as soon as look at you.
And the first opportunity, somebody's going to spring up in that company and point a finger at you, then you're done. And this market is a whipsaw company, or whipsaw business, like what Russ says right now. He's got a lot of work going on. 6 months ago, he didn't. And it's either feast or famine in this business. Very rarely do you get that in between. You're either too busy or you're not busy enough. And you really have to get in and understand the business, understand the work that you're doing, and that some of these companies that you're working for, if they have lists like that, they're probably not worth working for.
Right.
No matter what they think they are, what they say they are, or whatever. Yeah. There's people that run on lists always end up, and you go back and look at history. People that run on lists like that have gatekeeping situations like that, never end well. Never.
They'll stab you in the back as soon as look at you. And
that too.
It's not worth it.
You have to wonder if it's worth your time to pursue it. A lot of guys like Russ right now, or myself or whatever, we're just working out of our basements and staying busy and doing what we can when we can, however we can. There was a number of years that I decided to stop working in the direct market because the distributor was impossible to deal with. They were gatekeeping. They were keeping certain independent creators out and not accepting and then accepting other creators in that to me had substandard work, especially compared to some of the products that I was printing as Arrow Comics. I just threw my hands up. I did my own paper around town for a while, and it gave me so much commercial art business that most of the time I was busy doing advertising and educational comic work instead of being able to concentrate on the paper. So
unfortunately, we don't live in the same world as we did 20, 30, 40 years ago. As far as comics are concerned, you can't expect a regular income from comics. You have to be an entrepreneur. You have to have your own. There is definitely a different application. If you're going to do this, you have to think about running a business. It's not just about drawing or writing.
And really, there never was. There are times you'll have stretches where you're making a regular gig because you know the next book that you're working on, or some of these professionals out there have work stocked up for the next couple of months. I remember an inker friend of mine, I could ask him, hey, what are you going to be doing 3 months from now on such and such a date? He had a calendar there and he says, oh, I'm going to be inking this book. Okay. And he had that much work stocked up always in advance. And he was always worried about not what he was doing next week, but what he was doing 3-4 months from now. But that kind of organization is necessary if you're going to keep working in the business. You go back and you look at Kirby as a grand example that I love to use over and over again. Kirby was always out there looking for another avenue, another way to go. He switched companies off and he did unusual formats. He did crazy things. Eisner is another grand example. He did educational comics, worked at the Spirit for the longest time, did graphic novels on every type of subject that he could think of or that he wanted to do. And was never shy about keeping his mind open, working outside of the box for different formats. Gil Kane's another great example. If you haven't seen the Savage magazine or Black Mark or anything like that, a lot of these guys are just out there looking to do sequential art any way, shape, or form that they can. And even Kirby jumped into animation, the comic strip work, anything advertising work, anything that you can find. Neil Adams, another great example. Yeah. Always out there looking for a different format, out there looking to work, always working. Now, maybe he wasn't doing comics, but he was always working. He was always drawing, always out there looking. And that's the big thing in this business, especially if you're going to be a freelancer, which is what it sounds like you're going to be. You can get paid by the regular companies, and they've even shown that lately. They even pay very substandard wages. Compared to what's looked at as a living wage now. And these folks are all supposed to be talented, and they're all supposed to have skills in the market that they're in, and they're not being appreciated for that by these larger companies.
Yeah, I was getting paid. No, okay, I won't give out any detail, but I was getting paid as good a page rate, nearly as good a page rate as was it Brett Booth came out recently? No, I can't remember who it was. So one of the Marvel artists came out and basically said he was getting $300 a page, and I was getting paid nearly that for working for a publisher that was nowhere near the size of Marvel. And you think, wow, these figures don't make any sense, and it really comes down to the numbers of comics that are being sold. There's just not enough comics being sold
by
the mainstream to merit people getting $700 or $800, maybe $1,000 a page.
That and how stringent the company is.
Yeah.
Because you'll see page rates vary
much leaner.
Company to company. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. So I mean, it's a weird situation probably for DC that they can't afford to pay Jim Lee the page rate that he just that he's probably expecting, which is why he doesn't draw much anymore. I don't know.
Yeah. You're probably right. Yeah.
It's a crazy business. It really is. But the most important thing for you to do is be prepared to do other things. You keep yourself alive as a business, as an independent trader, by doing lots and lots of different things. And if you get that run, you just have to find room for it. I know what I'm going to be doing in 6 months' time. I've got 3 issues or one whole second book of Only Death Can Save Us to do. By by the end of next week, I'll just be finished a 48-page graphic novel for somebody else. They've got a backup story they want me to do, and they've also got covers and bits and pieces. So I'm going to have to try and fit that in over the 6 months while I'm doing the other stuff. I've had other publishers knocking on my door as well for different bits and pieces. You've got to find a way through. It is feast or famine, but you have to find your way through. And by being there, just being in it, just making sure you don't go under, just being there, being available, making sure you produce good work, being accessible, you will get the work. It will turn up. And then you'll get more work. You're really only as good as your last job. That's the bottom line.
The people out there that are feasting, that have been feasting for a long time, are the rare exception. Also, because you're going to see a lot of people where they'll come out and then you don't see them for a couple of months, or you don't see anything printed for a couple of months.
Yeah.
I just had I emceed a panel with Paris Cullens, whose work I admire, that I had no idea that the majority of the work he was doing was behind the scenes. He was out there laying out books, doing roughs for people and not getting any credit for it for a long, long time in order to get people up to speed or up to a competent professional level to be able to work at these companies.
I could do that. I could knock out layouts quite quickly, quite a lot of them every day. And I'd be more than happy to do that if somebody would pay me.
Kirby would do that quite a bit, especially for up and coming artists. He'd sit there and lay out a book for them.
I joke about being anonymous, but I really don't care. There seems to be this thing, there's a little bit of celebrity about being in comics. And I'm not interested in that in the slightest. I'm interested in getting paid for doing a job. Yes. But I'm not interested in notoriety. And so I would, if somebody sat me down and said, okay, you do like 3 or 4 layouts a day, up to a certain standard. And off you go. Yeah. Here's a wage. Yeah, okay, I can do that. But the chances of those jobs coming along, because the industry isn't what it was. It isn't the same anymore.
Well, the industry is always evolving too.
Yeah.
So it might not be in the real money, or the hard money might not be in the mainstream anymore. It might be in crowdfunding. Next year, next month, it could be someplace else. You never know. You just have to get out there and start working. Stay and fight to stay working. That's the whole key. That's how you're gonna.
Just as JD has said, the barrier for entry into comics is so low. People think that they just because they have an idea, it can be done, but forget about the costs involved in producing it and marketing it. Yeah. Yes, but at the same, also be realistic about your own abilities. Yeah, you can say, we can all say, I must get into the mainstream. I must be paid by them. I must get a job for the big guys. Maybe not good enough.
Variants back there.
Maybe you aren't. Maybe yet you're just not right for them. Yeah. You have to be realistic. Get good crits from other artists or from other people in publishing. Make sure that that you don't get too frustrated at the wrong moment in time, at the wrong moment in your career.
And you have to be and get yourself to a level where you're good enough to pivot if you have to, because if you look at the Kirby's career again, if you go back to that example, Simon and Kirby literally created the romance comic so that they could keep working, because they saw there was a market out there for female readers that wasn't being hit, just like it hasn't been hit the last 30 or so years, except for very rare occasions. And that they went out and started romance comics in order to hit that market. There are plenty of markets out there. There's plenty of ways to exploit this art form and make a living. You just have to be creative enough to go out there and keep your eyes open enough to keep looking for it. And make an example so that everybody else can make money too. Most things aren't going to make it, but some things will. And you'll be amazed if you go back and look at this history. That's why I love comic history so much. How much it's flowed and bent and linked up to other things, like a link of sausages. That the industry can pivot literally within a matter of a couple of months and go off in a completely different direction. So, and you have to be viable enough as an artist and a writer in order to be able to capitalize on that. So be careful, be watchful, get an education, and keep your eyes open and go out there and get work wherever you can. You know, and if you absolutely have to work for a corporate IP, if you have to make money for the large corporations, then you're going to have to work your way into it or find your way into it. But I literally can't tell you how many examples there are of people that have done that, have tried to do that have ended up in very deep disappointment. So a lot of these folks aren't even in the business anymore.
Yeah, that nobody's journey into comics is the same either.
The road to comics is paved with the bodies of the dead.
Yeah, yeah, something like that. Especially if they've been shot at by someone with a
or shot down
with a bow and arrow with dynamite on it.
Dynamite strapped to it. Yeah. Well, I've had pitches that have been rejected just because of the title. They don't bother to read the pitch. They say, no, we're not going to do that. And I've had other pitches that I've made where the editor for the company, editor that I deeply respected, looked at me and said, do we even own that character? What?
I want to read Grant Lankert said, first Imperium Bowl said, I'm a big believer in is that pistache characters? If you can't work on
pistache characters, yeah.
I like the pistachio.
Like Alan Moore, Mary Sabrina.
Yeah.
And then
next month, Paragon will be available. Arrow Comics. It's a shameless plug.
Says, I just got his Beowulf book in the mail. Says, I'm surprised that so many people are willing to do Marvel or DC in a world where Image or crowdfunding exists.
Especially crowdfunding.
I'm surprised Measure Loebs can't get work. He was huge for a while. Just seen Mr. Loebs all weekend.
Bill did a lot of things. Yeah, he did a lot of things. He's currently working for Yeet. YEET, and if you haven't seen that, that's some golden age, bronze age type flavor to superheroes. Don Simpson's over there working for him as well. Yeet, YEET.
Also,
Mike Jones is running that company. Jason Moore's doing a little bit of work for him. A lot of great people are over there working. Say what?
And that's been also turned to slang by kids now.
Yes, I know.
Yeah.
Yeet it out of there.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeet Comics.
Grant says pistachio characters. Yes.
Pistachio.
Comics will break your heart, kid. There you go. Yep. We've got
blimey. That. Yeet.
The immortal words of Mr. Kirby himself. Wherever it went to. Did we get rid of it?
No, it should be there.
It's right there above the Stan Lee quote. Here we are. Kid, comics will break your heart.
I was wondering, guys, how being at a con this weekend and our last weekend, and seeing everyone back, and it seemed to me that the fans were back. They were all there, ready to meet people and meet their favorite celebs and buy art.
Cosplay and attract the male gaze. Yeah.
Yeah. I've often I went to a con. The anime cosplayers, man, the manga cosplayers,
skin tight bodysuits are tight.
They're out of control. But I'll tell you something that I found uncomfortable. I went to
the chairs,
a show, a manga show, and I know those chairs are grandpas are great. No, I went to a manga show a couple years ago, and it was all manga, all
all manga animation, all the time. Yeah.
And I'm not gonna say the name of the show because it wasn't their fault. But what I talked to the promoter, and he had told me that he'd been experiencing. I'm like, it looks like you got a pretty good show here on your hands. He says, yeah. He says the problem is, a lot of people, these kids come here and because it's in like this weird kind of like mall, almost a mall. It's like someone made a mall. It's like they were building a mall and said, "Nah, let's not put the rest of the mall in." It would have turned that into an event space because there's like an eatery and there's some stores, but
Probably was meant to be a mall at one point. Yeah.
The cosplayers, they sit up in they don't buy tickets. They don't buy tickets. They go out front of the.
They just hang out outside.
They're just hanging out, talking to friends. Making as much noise as possible.
Or more noise than necessary.
Yeah, more than necessary. They're not buying tickets. They're not coming in. They can't even get into the convention festivities because they can't get past the.
They're not interested in buying merchandise.
Right.
Not interested in seeing the star.
Bit
or the guests that are there.
Really?
Yeah.
Not that I said that. I didn't say
that. It's Oh, 1 second. Hold on.
I mean, it's like there's always been this. There's always been a little bit of a. What's the word for it? It's always been a little bit edgy, isn't it, between comic book artists or creators, should I say, and cosplayers.
Sometimes yes, but it's gotten. I think it's gotten worse the last 5-6 years or so, where a lot of the cosplayers are coming now just to be part of the spectacle and to get attention for themselves, as opposed to adding to the festivities and actually having a fan interest in buying stuff.
Yeah,
and helping the vendors or seeing the artists that they want to be. They're more concerned about being that character from that show and walking around in order for people to take pictures of them.
It is a little bit. I mean, it's a very harsh word, but it's a little bit parasitical.
Yeah.
Because they're kind of. But then, it goes in all ways. I mean, the amount of shows I went to where I saw people painting characters and having prints of characters, big ones, MCU ones. Quite often they just look like a Photoshop filter that they printed out on a board, and you think, what are you doing here? You obviously haven't drawn any sequential art. So what exactly? I mean, I don't want to be the art Nazi. But
but
it's like you go for me, I would go to a comic book convention and I want to see comic book artists. I wouldn't want to see people that were, doing MCU prints.
Yeah.
Or do you know what I mean? Do you understand what I'm saying? I don't want to be mean to those people because they're just trying to earn a living like the rest of us. But there is a kind of a thing you think, well, if it's a comic book convention, which obviously it's turned into, it's not all comic book conventions. Don't you want to just see comic book artists, or at least see a difference between the kind of artists that you say, right? Okay, they're the comic book artists, and they're the other artists. If you want to go and buy something from them, that's fine. Off you go do it. But these are the guys that have actually done it, and there's never, I've never seen any kind of, sort of signposting to say these people are actually doing it and are actually at the core of the industry that everybody else is using to make money out of. Then at the same time, you have the whole thing about IP as well. The amount of people I saw selling prints of intellectual property, and you think, you haven't been given permission to do that. You shouldn't be doing it. And it's all very well to say, oh yeah, but Marvel are so big, what the hell? It's like, well, until they come and do it on your IP. Somebody was using Only Death Could Save Us and they were putting out T-shirts. I'd be very, very, very upset about that.
Right.
Because it's not theirs. Yeah. And although I'm happy to do convention sketches, I don't think that's a problem per se. Okay. It depends how specific you want to get. I would start feeling. I know. I mean, I've had this internal conversation with myself. I could have done lots of pictures of Spider-Man and Thor and the Fantastic Four and all kinds of stuff, and made prints of them and sold them. But is it really for me to do that? I mean, they're not mine, aren't they?
You did the How to Draw the Marvel Way book over there. You've drawn every character. I've drawn a lot of characters, and I drew a lot of characters under license. I was asked to do. I was
tasked to do it. So I suppose I could try and sell those as prints, but then I don't know. It just doesn't kind of feel right. I mean, maybe it's just maybe I'm just too old.
Maybe you just have ethics.
Yeah, maybe I have ethics. I don't know, but
there was
I don't know. It's very difficult because I do understand that people have got to try and make.
There was a printmaker I saw recently who was doing beautiful metallic prints of everybody else's IP, and like for example, the one that struck me was he had a whole array of Power Rangers set up there, but it was the exact same print, just the color was different.
Right.
All the way down.
Okay. Oh, right. I see what you're doing. Right. Okay. Yeah.
He just changed
Power Ranger. Well, that's all very well.
Instead of a red color, he changed it to green, or he changed it to yellow. Same picture.
I presume he wasn't the creator of Power Rangers.
No.
So that's
yeah.
It's easy to kind of move past that because it's Power Rangers or MCU or Batman or whatever it might be. But if you walked past that and it was something that you'd come up with, you'd be like, well, hold on, double take. What are they doing?
Yep.
So, it's this whole sort of concept of it's okay to steal from a bank or to steal from a large shop because they're just a big corporate. It's okay. It's like, no, stealing's wrong, whoever you take it from, really. I didn't want to apply the word steal to all those other people because I know it's a very grey subject. It is a grey subject, especially when people are trying to work hard just to put food in their mouths. But still, it's tricky. It is. And it's tough to look at when you're sitting there with a book on your own table, or even with stuff that you know that you've done. I mean, I got permission to reprint some bits and pieces from Draw the Marvel Way and sell them on. But at the same time, where I was doing that, I was doing an hour of Draw the Marvel Way, where people would get free books, and I'd do a display of how to draw things or how a piece of art was put together. So they were getting something out of it as well. I don't know. It's difficult, very difficult.
Empyrean says, I'm not convinced cosplaying has been good for me.
No, I'm not convinced either.
Kev says cosplayers spend all their money on clothes. They are just in the way.
And makeup. God damn it.
Grant says they grab anything at my booth that's free. I say help yourself to a sticker, and then they grab 5. Eric says, might be an unpopular opinion, but many cosplayers are there for attention and have no intention to patronize the vendors and artists. Heck, most don't have pockets for money.
Yeah, that is true.
Grant says, December Steel City Con is going to be the same weekend as the Pittsburgh Anime Con, and I'm wondering if they did that on purpose to discourage the anime kids from coming to Steel City.
Yeah, they just all go over to the anime conference.
Yeah. Just turn the hose pipe on all of them.
Is that COVID, Kev?
Kev says, yeah. I've never done prints of any characters that weren't my own. Never interested me and never will.
Yeah.
Fan art is just a no for me. Yep. Mike Jimmy says. Zing Zen says, Russ, you're speaking 100% true.
Thank you, Zing. But I mean, there you go. It's a perfect example. It's like, Zing has got a fantastic brand.
Beautiful art style.
Beautiful work. Too. And if somebody were to start nicking that, would that be that would be terrible. It would be wrong. But what's the difference between his work or my work and Marvel's work?
Yeah.
There's ownership to all of it. So.
I would like to when people are saying, well, this is a victimless crime, because we had a situation yesterday, that was Monday or Tuesday we talked about, where the gentleman had bought some original art from an artist, got home and discovered that artist was dead.
Yeah, that's terrible.
Yeah.
And so what's happened is someone has gotten this artist's work, maybe from a DA page, or so often we store our pages up on our stuff on a cloud, or we give high res access to our Patreons.
Nope.
I've seen artists do that. Hey, here's my high res version.
No, I ain't doing it.
And
only took me once to learn that lesson.
Yeah. The only stuff I've given people, I've given a few people high-res versions of the stuff I did for Marvel or Doctor Who, because they're out in the general public anyway.
Yeah.
And if they want to colour them, they can. But if they're stealing, they're not stealing from me. They're stealing from somebody with far more clout than I've got.
Yeah. And that's like, so now you got someone who's going around printing high-res images, making prints, and selling them. It's unfortunate, but I think as artists, it just teaches. It's one more of those things where it's one more time we have to step back and say, oh, okay, well, how do I stop this from happening to me?
Yeah.
So now I'm going to reinforce no more high-res art online, no matter how, nice it looks in the higher resolutions.
And don't die.
Yeah. I'll try to avoid that.
Zing was asking for a link, and I just sent it to him. So in case he suddenly pops up in the green room.
Yeah, try to avoid dying. You should be fine.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Pop says, I used the cosplayers to take pictures of him in front of the Indievolt booth, LOL, advertising. Yeah, I was trying to photobomb as many as possible that were close to the booth. Just spring out with a copy of Hero Bot Zero and point to it with a smiling face. Zing's in the green room. Hey, Zing, how you doing?
Hey, guys, how's it going?
Good.
Good, hey, Zing.
Hey, good to see everybody. Thanks for listening.
Zing's in the green room. Hey, Zing, how you doing? Zing's echoing real good now. Hey, Zing.
Oh, my goodness, I am echoing really bad.
Yeah, it's probably because you're listening.
Oh, my goodness.
Time to use them earplugs. Mute thyself. Yes. That's why we wear headphones.
It's because he's listening on YouTube.
I know.
At the same time, so.
Well, YouTube's usually a little bit farther behind than that. And hey, if you're out there listening on YouTube, we can take super chats now. So
yeah,
all those super chats go to help afford the streaming service, the money that we have, not the service, but the broadband, the broadband, the stuff. It's there to help us buy the stuff.
They go to finance various habits.
Broadband. It's there to help pay for the broadband. What's our radio number, by the way?
Right now, 67,407.
Only 67. We're dropping. What's going on?
Because I'm on.
Did China pull the plug? Must have.
Yeah, no, I don't see them listed.
It's those indie vultures again.
God damn it.
That'll teach them.
Mm-hmm. Just they're
really worried our numbers in Afghanistan will probably drop now.
Yeah.
Sorry to be topical or political. Don't mean to do that. We're here to talk funny books.
Everything's dropping over there.
Yeah, literally. see him falling. I'll never see another Indievolt again. Oh, that was terrible. I'm sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
That was cruel.
Well, yeah. The biggest surprise out of all of that is that anyone's surprised.
Yeah.
I'm watching what I say. They got helicopters now.
Empyrean says, I just had a Psycho Billy freak out. Yeah, they do too. We gave them to them. They're better stocked now than most third world countries.
I got a problem. I got another problem with this. Look. Okay. You mean to tell me?
Let's tell them all to touch the red button. The red button.
You mean to tell me button. You can get some? You can go to a used car dealership, okay? And buy a bottom of the barrel, like what they consider cash car, Randy? Anything under $5,000?
A what car?
Cash car.
Cash car?
Yeah, like you're not getting finance. It's about the car.
Yeah.
But anything under $5,000, all right? They're not gonna finance you for that. You might as well buy it. So, but when that's at the little rinky-dink car dealership that used to be a drug den. Okay, here's the problem: that car comes with a little device where if you don't pay your bill, the finance person or the bank can flip a little switch and your car won't start. That's on a little rinky-dink $5,000 car. You mean to tell me you don't have that same technology on $1 million chopper?
You would think so, right?
You'd think there'd be a speed limiter on there, wouldn't you? At least
Some type of governor, something, look, like if you can't say the national anthem, it don't start. Okay, something.
I can see them sitting there watching with a drone or something, going, "Wait until they get another 100 feet up. Wait until they get another 100 feet up. Do it.
If you can't sing the national anthem, it doesn't start. That's brilliant.
Something. I mean, you just let them say, hey, here's some weapons. It's like, somewhere Tony Stark is looking down on us and shaking his head.
Yeah. That would be funny, though. Kind of like the drunk barometers. You have to breathe into a tube before the car will start.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, second you. You can't do it, the things don't start. Not well. Zing, you there?
Zing.
Oh, there he is. Yeah.
Oh, he's still listening on YouTube. Is what it is.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, we're making sure.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Is it? Wait. Okay.
He's listening on YouTube.
Okay. Because it's.
You're gonna have to. It'll probably if you cancel out the YouTube page.
I'll just be done. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
We can hear you fine. We could hear you before.
He's still listening on YouTube, so
we need to say something
Okay.
stupid so that when he responds to it, it works out. Yeah.
Okay, sorry. I was like, I think I had too many tabs open. Sorry about that.
No problem.
Always an issue.
Like, why? Where is it echoing again and again? And then I realized I hadn't switched over the camera's audio off to the headset, and then it was playing in the green room and on Facebook.
Yep.
So it was coming through like 3 times back to back. So yeah, sorry about that.
No problem. So yeah, you got a title that's pretty it's visually, you know who it belongs to when you see it. Well, how would you feel if you walked through a con and you saw your stuff on someone's someone's banner or someone's tall wall of prints? They had your stuff.
I would be absolutely disgusted, like what Russ was saying and Randy earlier. I mean, the reality is this: there are people who say, oh, well, you could have gone, you could have maybe got a job at this publisher, that publisher, who would draw their characters if you would do. But I never had an interest in wanting to draw other people's characters that way. I just like to draw the stuff that I like to draw. And I do like to make doodles sometimes of characters. It just kind of reimagined the way that the kind of aesthetics that I use for my own design and stuff. But what you see a lot is people will go to these shows and they'll say, oh, well, I had a really successful show, I made a ton of money. Yes, because you're selling things that people already know and that don't belong to you. You're selling things that people are already familiar with. Yeah, if you put up a well-drawn picture of, or even semi-well-drawn, of Batman, of Superman, of the X-Men, people are going to say, yes, I'd like to buy that because it's something that they're familiar with. But much to what was mentioned earlier, I mean, those things don't belong to the people. They don't. And some people will say, oh, it's not a big deal. These companies have billions of dollars, they do this, they do that. But the reality, again, is that it doesn't belong to the individual. It'd be like, I equate it this way: if someone tried to make a movie and say, oh, I'm making a movie, but it's just called Superman. Well, that's not going to work, because despite it might be a totally different non-superhero genre type of thing, it is still something that is, part of a very large corporation, and they're not going to just let you take the reins from things that they own and you just do whatever you want to do with it, regardless of how big or how small it might be. But and honestly, I always thought, and there are some people who will vehemently disagree with this, but I always thought doing art of other people's established characters is lazy to make a buck. It's lazy because it's easy to do. It's easy to do that and then just turn it into a profit. But to take something that people don't know, that they're not familiar with, that they don't understand, or because it's new to them, and then to get people to believe in it, that's the way to do it, because then you're really putting your artist craft into practice as a creator, and you're not succeeding by saying, yeah, I made $2,000 this month because I just sold pictures of, like Randy was saying, the Power Rangers. It's because, I took the time to actually create new characters and share those with people. And that's just my take on it. I've never done that. I've never, ever, ever drawn someone else's work and then sold it for I think that's really, it's lazy, and I think it's a really selfish way to be for one artist to another.
They're going to come for you now, Zen. All the print artists. Zen all hate mail. Zing zing.
They can try. They can. They can do all they'd like to, but it's like, hey, at the end of the day, I'm doing what I have to do, and I've already paid my drachma to the boatman, so they need to do the same thing.
I think that for most artists, I remember I didn't want to do prints, but I was kind of upset because all my buddies were doing prints and they were getting paid. They were making decent amounts of money, and I remember saying, man, maybe I should do something, and because I just had my books, and I convinced my wife to I'm gonna take a month off and just do some prints, and I think I did maybe 4 or 5 parody pieces. That's the only way I can remember to do it. I had to do parody, so I took a picture of the Ninja Turtles and mixed it with a movie Four Brothers. Same for this. I had Dennis the Menace Meet the Boondocks. That's the only way I was kind of able to live with myself of jacking IPs. I wanted to create something that you could not find the IPs legitimately doing, which probably puts me in even more hot water. But it was at least I was able to sleep at night. And I always really, but I found that it is really easy to get caught in that print trap where you're just constantly making prints because the money is there. I've watched a buddy's table, and the entire, maybe for like most of Friday and all of Saturday, and within that time, he made close to $2,000, just in print sales.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm with JD here. He's saying he's basically reiterating kind of what I was alluding to earlier, is that with his last comment, if I was to say the stuff I did for Marvel or the stuff I did for Doctor Who or Ben 10 or whatever, I take a piece of that and I make a print out of it. As long as they're cool with it, that's not a problem, because I did that work and I did it under license. I did it for someone because they wanted me to do it. Or even if I did a special one specifically for a show, maybe, as long as it was okay with them. That's one thing. So, for instance, if I said to JD, you've got a following over here in the UK, I'm going to a convention, would it be all right if I did a print of X character, especially if I'd been drawing them, like Jay's saying, then I think that's a reasonable thing to do. And it kind of goes back to my point of what I was saying earlier. It's like there are some artists at conventions who have actually done it. They've done the sequential art. they've been in the industry. They're not just drawing stuff for a canvas print. So, for instance, that guy that Randy saw with all the Power Rangers, if he's never drawn the Power Rangers for comics and he's never done any storyboarding for the movies, he didn't write them, he didn't create the characters, and he hasn't asked for permission, what the hell is he doing? You know, it's like you can turn around and say, oh, he's just making a living, but it's like, oh, yeah, it's still theft, isn't it, really, at its base, because it's not yours to do that with. They're not public characters.
Right. No, it's just, and it harkens back to, like you said, like Randy said, JD was just saying. I mean, a lot of people, they do that, but they don't have the fortitude to say, let me build something and then put it out there. They just want to say, well, this is popular, so let me just draw that, sell a bunch of it, make a bunch of money, and you know, and then they want to, you know, take that high road of, I'm this, I'm that, I have these titles because I sold out a show of, yeah, but you sold out a show of something that everybody already knows, not because it's something that you worked hard to build from nothing and then got people to believe it.
Yeah, Zing, I'm having a very hard time hearing from you.
Oh, let me hang on, let me check my volume. Sorry. Oh, it might be my headset. Hang on, let me take it.
You know, I've worked with, you know, I've been around a lot of artists who just do prints, and they gave up on comics. They said they couldn't do comics. There wasn't any money in there, so they did the prints. They made money, but when over the last couple of years, some have come back to doing comics because, you know, oh well, because crowdfunding has helped them out and given them the ability to do that. Whereas before making a comic, you know, it was kind of. But the funny thing about the prints, they were always kind of trying to chase that next thing, like Zing mentioned. What's hot this week? So like this week was the comic we just came from. There was a lot of you could tell hastily drawn King Shark art.
Hastily drawn.
Yeah. What, King Shark is popular? I gotta draw him. Oh, I'm gonna draw him.
I think that Twinkies. That also talks to the whole where you see the quality in people's work. You can get away with, as Zing is saying, you can make up for a lack of a certain amount of quality by having a recognizable character.
Yeah, I mean it's true. If you can, even if it's you know very crude in its approach, people will still say, great, I'll buy that because I know that it's this character from this show, even if it's not well done. And I, you know, it just, and I don't know, I'm such a stickler for quality, because really, if you, and I equate it this way. Sure, you can go to a fast food restaurant and just grab a burger, and it will just be what it is. But if you want something that actually is like, you know, real beef and it's like actually good, yeah, you can also go to Gordon Ramsay's, you know, one of his places and get a burger, and I'm sure it will be fantastic. So, yeah, you know, it's just like, yeah, you can throw anything together. And sometimes people do, and they just throw it together and they put it out there. It's like, okay, but it doesn't have the quality that will stand up to time, and that's typically where it's just like there's a guy I know who he's a writer, but he, you know, works on a lot of projects, and he often complains that he doesn't get opportunities and that he's got all these ideas, and he will sometimes post his work and I've seen some of it, and what it is he takes an eye. There's everyone draws inspiration from something.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is. I mean, you'd have to be some other being to think of something complete. It's like asking someone to think of a color that doesn't exist. You can't. It's just, the problem that it turns into is people will say, "Oh, I've came up with this new idea," but it is an exact clone replica of something that they like that is very famous, and maybe they'll change the name, they'll change one or two story elements, but it is so exactly the same. And they say, "Well, I pitched this to, these people," and they said no. Well, of course they said no, because they realize you're just mimicking A, B, and C. That's not gonna, when it's so obvious, it's not gonna work. And so these kind of things, they really are prevalent. I think especially nowadays where, some of these kids today who are like, "Oh yeah, I use Kickstarter and do this, it's great." But before the internet, before social media was the way it was, before the crowdfunding, you had to pour your soul essence into your projects to do what you had to do. And nowadays you throw something together, you throw it online, and have 500 of your Facebook friends throw money at it, and there you go. It's there, but it doesn't mean that the quality is where it should be. It's just there.
Yeah.
You know what? Speaking of, you mentioned Kickstarter, and Kickstarter has a new comic book czar.
No. Oh no.
Oh yes.
I wondered how long it would take to get onto that subject. Everybody's got their arms up in terror.
And I was like, okay, that's cool, and a new comic book czar, and let's see what's going on. And
were you blocked?
I know that was a game yesterday. My wife was not blocked, but you know what? I think I am.
I'm not blocked.
No, I don't think I was blocked. Obviously, I'm not important enough.
I'm not following her either, but I'm not blocked.
No, I'm not following her. No, I have no reason to follow her. Yeah. It's bizarre, isn't it?
I've been blocked preemptively?
Preemptively blocked variant.
And again, very sad.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, what is the point in all that? Just
what is
Are you blocked?
I think so. Hold on.
Do you draw the Flintstones naked?
I must. Okay, no, I'm not blocked. The tweets are protected.
There's money in that.
Yeah, her tweets are protected.
That's
like
fine.
I said, I'm not following her either. But
I'm
not blocked.
So,
Why would you protect your tweets? What?
You know why?
It's a public forum.
Because the stuff that they put out there is not public.
Silly people, silly bunnies.
Some people feel it's important to foster the hate group.
Oh, you silly bunnies. Be nice to each other. Stop it.
You would think so. Especially being in the public eye.
Yes.
Exactly. Like you would think that would be just like when the stuff happened where Pablo Hidalgo had, said some really mean things to like the biggest Star Wars YouTuber that is like on YouTube. Like I think this guy has almost like 2 million followers on his YouTube, and it was one of those things where once it happened, I saw a stream where he went on with some other, like well-known streamers, and he's like, he said, I honestly didn't think that they were those kind of people.
Kind of people.
But the reality is that, if you don't fit their narrative of what they want, and you don't, it all of a sudden then you become the bad guy, you become and so they want to block and protect, and like you said, they want to foster the things they want to foster that way with the people they want to foster it with, and then if you don't fit that narrative, well, you're the bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, well, just like the thing I saw recently with this, and I don't read Batman, but I saw the news on it, the stuff with Robin, and there was a lot of people like, oh, this is great, and then there were a lot of people who were like, well, why that? And here's my perspective on it. Like I tell people, first of all, whoever you are involved with, I don't care. I mean, that's your business. That's so you do whatever, as long as you're not like doing stuff to kids or whatever. No one cares who you're sleeping with. That's you're an adult. That's your business. But to take a character, and I saw they quoted the lady who wrote it, and she said, I went back and I read all his material, but I felt like this was the story that had to be told. Why? I just like, okay, if you read it from the things that I talked to some friends of mine who were like avid, DC readers, they said Tim Drake has slept with just about every female character that is part of the Bat family. Like, he just, running through them. And yet now they've changed his, whatever you want to call it. And so it's just like, but why? What does that have to do with the story? What does that have to do with his character as this like crime fighter? So I don't see how that's relevant to what is happening.
No, not at all.
But
I feel a rant coming on. Hey, Loden.
Hey, what's up, guys?
We're now joined by Michael Oden. Michael Oden, tell people how they can find you.
Hey guys, you can find me at Elysianfields_0 on Twitter. You can find Nine Realms Publishing on Facebook. You can find Nine Realms Publishing on Patreon, and we're also on Webtoon. Errand of the Sable Knight starts tomorrow at 4 p.m.
Great.
So,
thanks for coming on. Zing, tell folks how they can find you.
You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, IMBD, all under Symphonic Verses, Symphony of the Phantom Knight. Actually, so I can say this here. I just talked to my bosses at the movie studio yesterday, and they just dropped some really amazing news in my lap, and I just have to wait a little bit, but some stuff about the TV show is coming like really, really soon. And so
man,
you type Symphonic Verses into Google, all of the links for the social media will show up, and I try to post on them daily. So there's some exciting news coming really, really soon.
Sweet.
Find out more about this man. He's an inspiration.
Yeah. Russ, tell folks how they can find you.
You can find me outside shouting at parked cars. And when I'm not doing that, you can find me on YouTube as Comic Book Black Belt, where I do some art and drink occasionally on a Monday night. When Joe's feeling better, I go see Joe for Fultonland on a Thursday. I hang out with these reprobates on occasion, and they're great fun to be with. You can also find me at russleach.com, comicbookblackbelt.com, or you can find out about the book, Only Death Can Save Us, at onlydeathcansavus.com.
Sorry, Zing, I had to mute you there. You're kind of echoing hard.
Oh, sorry. And I'm sorry. I've just got a message. I gotta run, guys. This has been great fun. Always good to see you guys. And I'll catch up with you later.
Cheers,
all right,
man.
Zing. We want you back on when you have hardcore news to talk about.
Good news. Yeah.
Good news.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah, thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate it.
Cheers, man.
All right.
Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Yeah.
I'll finish off now. You can also find me on the usual social medias, on the Twitter and the Facebook, over at the Instagram and the Minds and places like that. Please do sign up to my email list on my website if you get a chance. That's about it. Oh, subscribe to my channel. Please do that. It will help.
Great. And hey, folks, I've been Randy Zimmerman. You can find me on Facebook, on Twitter. You can find Arrow Comics 4.0 through Linktree. We have a Linktree. We have an Instagram, Twitter, and also 2 Facebook pages, one for Arrow Comics 4.0, one for Friends of Arrow Comics 4.0. Go over there for exciting news and other announcements for books that we have coming up. We have 4 issues currently available for the direct market through Liberty Entertainment Distribution, and more coming all the time. So looking forward to that. You'll be able to see me again Sunday morning at 9 a.m. on the Sunday Funnies. And then Varian and I will be back Tuesday night at 9 p.m. for the Live Wire broadcast. Then again, we'll be back here Thursday morning at 9 a.m. for the Breakfast Buzz. Varian, anything?
Yeah, no, Varian Grant on pretty much every other social media. KYD_V on Twitter. Check out Indievolt.com, Indievolt Radio on Google Play and Streamer and Alexa. And Indievolt Radio on Roku devices and enabled hardware. Make sure that you check out, if you're shipping a comic, check out GeminiComicSupply.com. When you do, use code VOLT10, VOLT. Save yourself 10% off your entire bill. Good stuff. If you're not shipping with Gemini, you just don't care. I think you're sure. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Don't forget
Liberty Entertainment Distribution.
LEDG.us. Did you mention the Roku channel? You mentioned. Yep. Please send in your comments to Indievolt Live at Indievolt.com. Please include Indievolt Live in your subject line. And please keep those emails to 90 words or less. So Varian can type them on the card or on a card, and we can talk about them on the show.
Because Varian can't type more than 90 words at a time.
No, he can't. No. Wears his fingers out. Don't forget, did you mention the Indievolt Awards?
I didn't. Go ahead.
Coming up in less than a month on the 18th of September. Indievolt, for independent and alternative comics. It's a judged event. There's only one award that's remotely a popularity contest. Everything else is judged by a panel of judges. We're doing this in order to raise the awareness of the quality of the alternative and independent market out there. Some phenomenal books, phenomenal products that deserve recognition. And the registration for that has been closed. The judges are getting copies here real soon, and the judging shall begin shortly. But we will be broadcasting live on the 18th of September from the local Dave & Buster's closest to the Varian's location. And then hopefully every year after that, we'll be at a different Dave & Buster's or, a different Dave & Buster's, and doing this once a year annually. Physical trophies will be given out. It's a lot of great categories. Stay tuned for more announcements on that here soon.
Yep.
So, anything else?
That is it, sir. You
don't forget, it's okay to play with yourself. And as we go out the door,
I'm not blind yet.
Not blind yet. Want to remind you again of the classic immortal words by Mr. Jack Kirby, who said, "Kids, comics will break your heart
to pieces."
To pieces. So until next time, everybody, we'll see you soon. You want me to take us out?
Please do. Yeah, go ahead.
Take us out. Take care, everyone. Have a great, you're coming up on that weekend. So stay tuned to Indievolt for more developing news. There's lots of things that we can't tell you yet. Just like Zing. Yes. All right. We'll see you soon. Take care. Stay safe.
This video is sponsored by Too Hard, the #1 natural erection formula. You can never be too hard.
Oh, God.
Can you hammer a 6-inch spike through a board with your penis?
Not right now.
A girl's gotta have her standards.
How dare you?
Yay!
Yay!
Think about what you've accomplished.
Do you draw the Flintstones naked? There's a market for that.